8/12 divided by some number should give me 4. I tried to use process of elimination, but I ended up second guessing myself, so I'm gonna go ahead and do it out. So I'm gonna do 8/12 divided by 4 equals the missing part that's gonna help me figure out which my multiple choice answer is. So I'm gonna go ahead and keep, change, flip, and I'm gonna get 8 over 48, also known as 1 over 6. So 8/12 divided by 1/6 equals 4. The closest answer over here to that is B, because 1/6 and 2/12 are the same answer, technically. Okay, so I'm on the page that says let's explore. Directions: remember to use cube. Create a model to solve each problem. So part A says, Darrell is running a race. With 8/10 of a mile left, he notices that there are water stations placed at every 2/10 of a mile. How many water stations will he pass on his way to the finish line? So starting with the first number that I see is a fraction that says 8/10, with 8/10 of a mile left. So I'm going to start by asking myself, how long is the race? If he has 8/10 of a mile left, I'm going to draw out my hole. I'm going to break that hole up into 10 pieces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Getting my shading pencil, I'm going to shade in 8 out of the 10 pieces because I care about how much he has left. I'm not going to shade in how much he's done because the problem doesn't even tell us that. But when you're running a race, you're mainly concerned about how much do you have left in order for you to get to the finish line. And he has 8/10 left. So I've shaded 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. He has 8/10 of a mile left. There are water stations, now I'm on the second part, at every 2/10 of a mile. So if this is 8/10, I'm gonna put a little marker here. This is 8/10. 2/10 would be 2 blocks. So I'm gonna circle. There's a water station after this. There's a water station after this. There's a water station after this. And the last water station is after that. How many water stations will he pass on his way to the finish line? So, in other words, how many groups did I end up with after I divided each 8/10 into 2/10? I'm going to draw my division problem. I'm going to do 8/10 divided by 2/10. Keep, change, flip. I'm going to get 80 over 20. Finding a number that goes into both 80 and 20. Off the top of my head, I know that 10 goes into both. Divide by 10, divide by 10. I get 8 over 2. Now I can see and do this math in my head. 8 divided by 2 is 4. How many stations will he pass? 4. And I know this because I checked my work and I ended up with 4 groups. I hope that makes sense to everybody. He had 8/10 of a mile left. That's how much time I have left to work with, or how much distance I have left to work with. And then I'm going to divide that into 2/10, divided by 2/10, because that's how much I need to split the 8/10 up to figure out how many times will I pass a water station. Moving on, part B says, Nehemiah is running a different race. He is 10/8 from the finish line, 10/8 of a mile from the finish line. The water stations are located every 2/8 mile. How many stations will he pass on the way to the finish? I'm not going to draw a picture for this one. I'm just going to do the division. So how much do I have left to work with? The distance that he has until he's finished is 10/8. This is the distance that I'm going to be splitting up. I'm going to split it by the distance that is in between every single water station, which is 2/8. This number has to go first, because this is how much I know how much he has to run until he's finished with the race. I'm not going to divide 2/8 because that has to do with the water station. It doesn't have to do with how much distance he has left. divided by 2/8 gives me what? I'm going to keep the first fraction, change the multiplication sign to a division sign, and flip the second fraction and multiply across. 80 divided by 16. A number that goes into both 80 and 60, I can use the 2 rule, because even though 0 cannot be divided by 2, 10 can be divided by 2, and 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, that number counts. 80 counts. So 80 divided by 2 and 16 divided by 2, I'm going to get 40 over 8. Once again, both of these numbers are divisible by 2. I'm going to cheat and do the 2 rule again. 20 divided by 4. Now I can see off the top of my head, if this was a division problem, how many groups of 4 can I make out of 20? 5. So if I would have drawn this out, I should have got 5 groups, because how many stations will he pass on the way to the finish line? 5 stations. I hope this is not confusing for you all. Don't overthink it. Use process of elimination, and yeah, do your best.